Remarkable people overcoming remarkable challenges with resilience, dedication, community, and grit. Listen as they share their stories of overcoming adversity. Open your eyes to what is genuinely possible for all of us. Authentic Adversity with host Chris Howe.
Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast. I'm your host, Chris Howe. Today I sit down with Mohawk Matt. He's an inspirational and a motivational guy. I mean, he's got a really remarkable story. He's got a great job now working for Sullen Clothing. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. It's been a pleasure to actually kind of, follow along your story. I think when we first connected, it was probably through the recovery world.
Yes, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, as podcasts and stuff started coming out, I'd start watching and your story, your story blew me away. And, it just made me more and more interested in you as a person and the direction you're going in your life and the positivity that you're bringing to your life and the people around you. So, I just really appreciate you for everything that you do in the recovery world and the positivity that you put out there in the social media world, because, we need more of that.
Well, thank you. I've really been trying hard.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's working because, you're quite an inspirational guy. And I know, you're always engaging with people, that reach out to you about recovery, life issues, anything like that. You're not a person that just kind of ignores messages and lets people.
No, bro, you'd be surprised. Everybody tells me to ignore, with the more podcasts I do and the more extras work I do in videos and movies, I still, because look, in my personal life, I don't have much time to hit the meetings, AA or NA anymore. Yeah. So with what I do and where I live, it's hard to get to meetings. And by the time I get home from work or from being on set, sometimes I'm exhausted. So to have to take another extra 3 hours to hit a meeting sometimes is hard. But what I've done, I've made a commitment to myself and my sponsor where since I'm active in social media all the time and I work in social media, I make it a point to anybody that DMs me. I'm one of those dudes that responds to all DMs. As long as you're being appropriate, because trust me, we get some weird people out there, but as long as you're being appropriate and you're reaching out and you're either congratulating me or trying to just even have a hard day and you need someone to talk to, I will spend, even when my girlfriend's mad at me, I will spend 45 minutes sometimes responding to DMs because people deserve it. That's the best way I can reach back my hand for those that are still struggling right now.
Yeah, man. And that's so important for people who have been through it and who are now living a different life as a result of recovery. Yeah. For somebody that's kind of teetering on that edge or just kind of walking that line, should I get clean or I'm desperately needing to get clean? Yeah. They need people like us, people like you that can say, I've been there, brother. Yeah. I know what it's like and it's possible. Yeah. And sometimes that's all we need is just a message back and somebody to tell us that we're worth it. Yeah, I agree.
And you'd be surprised. Like I said, some of the feedback I get from me just taking the time to respond, it's sincerely. I'll get a message. I got a message the other day from some guy. I think he's in Idaho or something. He DM'd me just to say, man, I remember when you took 5 minutes to talk to me 6 months ago. Well, he told me, I just want to let you know I got 6 months clean now. Amazing. Those kind of things are why I will spend that extra time at night before I go to bed to respond to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing about that is that, like you said, if you're not hitting meetings on a regular basis, you're actually, two alcoholics or addicts in recovery speaking or texting is a meeting, right? So
as long as I figure that's my 12th step. My 12th step says I need to be actively working in the environment. Now in today's world with technology, how we've evolved, I have to use my time the best I can. Because I tell people this a lot, you have to balance a social life, a recovery life, and my family and work life. So for me, if I don't have the time or the physical ability to get to a meeting, I've found that I can use social media to share my story. I'm sponsoring guys around the world. I can use this as an outlet with what I'm given, I can use this to help back. When I can't, I might not necessarily be able to sit in a meeting and share and read a book with people, but I can definitely use social media to advertise and respond and talk to people and spend, sometimes it's 2.5 hours of my day just responding to people.
but I mean, it's productive, and that's what I mean. I think it's a great tool if it's used for the right thing, right?
Yeah. And like I tell people, I will definitely lead you if you have the time in the beginning of your recovery. I always lead them back to the rooms. They need to be in the rooms at the beginning, like I was for 3 years. I think just about 3 solid years. I hit a meeting every day with my core group of guys and my sponsor. Yep. So now that I've kind of slacked off on that, I make sure and let everybody know that I feel that that's a strong part of the beginning of recovery.
For sure. Yeah, you got to have that community, right?
Got to. It's a support group. It's necessary.
Absolutely. This episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast is brought to you and sponsored by Another Road Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center. Another Road offers a client-centered recovery program tailored to every individual's circumstances. Their focus is to create a supportive, healing environment rather than a rigid, rule-based institution. Their dedicated commitment upholds the individual values, respecting each person's desire for recovery. Another Road understands that every individual requires a unique and focused approach to their recovery. Certain modalities of treatment are introduced along with the tools necessary for each client. Located in a rural setting, their addiction treatment center for all genders provides the perfect setting for a transformative recovery experience and sense of belonging. The private residential treatment facility offers an unparalleled program with counselors that have in-depth knowledge based on varying years of experience in addiction. Another Road utilizes unique, individual-focused plans for recovery that address the complexities of drug addiction, alcoholism, and prescription medication misuse. They have a 65% success rate when clients follow their program. I know many people who have completed this program, and they have absolutely rave reviews. To learn more, visit anotherroad.ca. So let's get into your story. I mean, I definitely want to circle back to recovery. That's what the point of the podcast is. And I want to talk about all the positive things that you're doing. But before we get there, I want you to kind of tell me where you're from, what it was like growing up for you, and, what you were like as a kid.
I grew up kind of middle class, typical average white family in the San Fernando Valley area of Los Angeles. It's a little suburb outside of the major downtown LA area. I had a pretty normal family, both parents working. My father's a vet from Vietnam Air Force. I was one of those kids. I just said this the other day on a show. I mean, I watched Boys in the Hood one too many times. Okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the story to complain. Like I grew up in the hood or the ghetto. I grew up pretty normally middle class. I found graffiti at a young age while playing sports, and I kind of dove into that graffiti life while juggling a sports life. And the weird thing is I was into graffiti, sports, and I was really into like being a gothic punk rocker. If that weird combination makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of different worlds for sure.
It is, and I blended them. I was definitely something weird to see on the streets back then.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So what originally attracted you to like the tagging crews and the graffiti?
There was just something about originality and making a name for yourself, and like the competition of who could write better and who could get out there and write your name more and more and more. In the 90s in the San Fernando Valley, actually in the 90s in Los Angeles alone in California, it was such a big thing. Kids were looking for new outlets because gangs were getting really serious. Kids were looking for other things to join to be kind of cool, but yet not so serious as gangs. And then as the years rolled on, it backfired on us, and all of us graffiti kids joined gangs anyway. So it's just what started out good turned out bad in revolving the door.
Right. So that's what happened in your case then.
Well, my tagging crew made a mistake. A couple of our really core members ended up killing somebody at a party one night. Okay. And so we were forced into the whole process of, all of us white kids and Mexicans needed to pick a gang. We had to join a local gang. And that's what we did. And I did it at the expense of, I finally working through some of the PTSD and therapy and stuff. I've realized that was probably one of the main focal points for me. Like I didn't want to be a gang member. I did it. I was good at it. I made a good name for myself. But for me, I really feel like I let myself down and I betrayed who I was joining a gang, because graffiti was innocent and it was pure. Nobody really got hurt. God forbid we cost some tax dollars some money, but it was our outlet and it was our escape. But the gang thing, that's a whole nother ball game. I wasn't prepared for it. All the stuff that came along after that, I wasn't ready for that at all.
I can imagine. And you're kind of you're just forced into that place, right? Like you have to make a choice.
I fell into peer pressure. I don't want to be a pussy. I don't want to be looked at as a bitch or weak. I did it because I felt like, my friends are doing it. They made this decision. I have to do it with them. And then
Right.
I can't even begin to describe to you the feeling at that moment. Once you're jumped into an actual gang in the city of Los Angeles, you're hit with a really overwhelming sense of, damn, things are serious. You get killed at any moment now. We have a core list, a list of enemies throughout the area we're living in. We can't go on these streets. We can't go to this event on the weekend. We can't go to this movie theater. Things have now gotten serious, and now my family's in danger.
Right.
I mean, it's just it's a whole thing that people don't really realize when they're just young and I want to be from a gang. It's not that simple.
Mm-hmm. So life changes completely for you at that point.
In the blink of an eye, it's done.
Yeah. Wow.
Your dress code's now different. I can't be my original self. Like I said, I was a little gothic punk rocker who rode a skateboard and graffitied and used to wear the black eyeliner sometimes. And I had the black outfits with the Misfit t-shirt and the Depeche Mode t-shirt. Well, now your look has to change as well. Head has to be shaved. You're starting accumulating these tattoos, and it's a whole list of do's and don'ts that you have to get ready for.
Yeah, that's wild. And at that point, when you jumped in, were drugs and alcohol a part of your life yet?
Okay, so drugs and alcohol, I avoided that whole spectrum until I was the age of 21 years old. Like I said, I played baseball and soccer. I was pretty good at both of those sports. Okay. I competed with my brother. My brother was phenomenal at soccer. I think he was drafted to play professional and hurt his ankle. I played soccer. I was really good, but when I played baseball is where I was starting first baseman. I was really good. Okay. I had an option to play pro ball, and I blew it because at the age of 21, while navigating this gang lifestyle, I decided after not even smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer, or smoking a joint, I had the bright idea to listen again, peer pressure. This is how bad peer pressure is. I went from being a straight edge kid who might be from a gang, but I tried crack cocaine in the middle 90s when crack cocaine was enormously huge back in the day. It's not really that big anymore in Los Angeles, but crack cocaine back then. I mean, if you picture that movie New Jack City, if you can remember that, where Chris Rock is smoking the pipe and shaking and shivering, that was me. And it's an instantaneous, that trying that drug was an instant life change.
Yeah.
Everything.
So that's the first drug that you tried before smoking weed before?
Never smoked a joint, never smoked a cigarette, never vaped, never drank a beer. I tried crack.
No.
God, why did I do that?
Yeah. Oh, shit. So
all my scholarships for sports are out the window. My college is out the window. Within 1 year, I was barefoot walking down the Sepulveda Boulevard in the Valley, fucking trading everything I owned and you owned and my parents owned. I would steal. Everything had to be traded for crack. My life was ruined.
Wow. Just like that.
Huh?
Yeah. That's wild.
Just like
that's the first thing that you tried. Yeah.
Bro, you're not kidding. If I would have graduated through the ranks like most people with the cigarettes and the marijuana and the beer here, I like to justify it thinking my drug use history might have been a little bit easier, but I was catapulted into the front line of battle right there.
Yeah. So you were an addict from the get-go though, right? Like did you constantly?
Oh, it must have been in my genes because I was instantly an addict. Instantly.
Yeah. I was the same way, man. And it's like when you try that first thing, you're constantly chasing that first high, never, ever, ever able to get that same effect, right? And it's just
you can't say it any better. I can still close my eyes right now and remember smoking that first piece of crack, and I chased it for a couple years. You're never gonna get that instantaneous good feeling again. It's never. All that I had was paranoia, discomfort, disgust, humiliation, and just a horrible feeling after that.
Yeah, it's such a vicious circle, and you don't know how to, you're constantly searching for that, trying to get that feeling again, and you can never kind of scratch that itch.
No matter how much I smoke.
Trying.
But what do they say in the program? 1 is too many and 1,000 is not enough.
That's right.
Because no matter how much crack I smoked, I never even became close to scratch the surface of that first hit.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Yeah. That's but that's the way it is for a lot of people. Once you get into the harder things, it's just that's the way it goes.
Well,
and it's a vicious cycle.
Under no aspect am I a functioning addict. I'm one of those addicts that isolates, destroys your property, destroys every relationship around me. I'm not one of those guys that has a story where I snorted crystal meth for 20 years and then it got bad. No. It was instantly, my life was ruined. Your life was ruined. My mom's life, my neighbors, everybody.
Yeah. Anybody who crosses your path
who crosses my path. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I can totally relate to that, man. And it's scary. And we don't even realize, I think, when we're in the throes of it, how much we're affecting everybody else around us, right? We're so selfish and self-centered.
Well, I didn't have the capacity to care about you. I was a steamroller going down the street, and everything in my path was a victim, and you had to go.
Yep.
And it's sad. Yeah. And then I had the glorious decision to get off. I knew my crack problem was horrible. I made the choice to start injecting crystal meth after a couple of years to get off of crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I got about a year and a half of semi-decent behavior on when I first started doing meth. My life was a little bit more manageable. I wasn't trading everything. But here I go. Now, when you're a tweaker, I'm accumulating a bunch of crap. I'm not selling everything, but I'm actually accumulating a bunch of unnecessary shit. And then I'm also stealing from you. And it's just that journey was a whole nother spectrum.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So how long did that go on for?
Oh, that went on for years. In and out of prison, that went on for years. Crystal meth was... When I tell my story, I always tell people I've been on heroin. I've been addicted to heroin. Crystal meth kicked my ass worse than any gang, any prison riot, any fight, any shooting. Crystal meth kicked my ass. It broke me down to bottom.
Really? Yeah.
Yes, worse than crack. Crystal meth was what broke my back, and that's what made me give in and submit. I put my hands up finally one day and said, "That's it. You beat me."
Yeah. Okay. So then, I mean, so it's years of using and abusing crystal, heroin, crack.
Well, my drug use got worse. I start, like when you quit, I couldn't maintain a gang life anymore, really, because now I'm not reliable. I'm on drugs. It doesn't matter what. And I tell people this a lot because in LA, we have this growing homeless drug addict problem all over the streets. Mm-hmm. In my day, you couldn't do that. Any type of real drug use, you had to hide. It wasn't allowed on the streets. You get beat up. Nowadays, kids just pull up a tent on the corner and smoke crack and shoot meth in front of everyone, women and children. We couldn't do that in my day.
That's crazy.
In my day, that behavior had to be hidden, especially you're not going to do it in front of the public. So my behavior got worse, and I started going to prison. I did a collective of 19 years in prison, 3 different terms, one for 3 years and a few months, another for 3 years and 8 months, and the last term was like 12 years and 6 months, basically 13 years in the state of California.
Oh, wow. Okay, so and how long have you been out now?
I've been out since the last 9 years, I think. I paroled in 2013. 2013 is when I paroled. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a pretty that's a pretty extensive run. And I want to kind of bring it to, like what were the darkest days like for you? Like what was rock bottom? What did that look like for you?
Okay, that's the best part of my story. And I love when I tell this part of my story is my favorite part because it's this serious how I'm going to describe it. My rock bottom, the darkest days, there's a lot of dark days throughout the process. There's a lot of, I fucked my family over. I fucked an innocent person over. I hurt this person. But my last day, I can remember, and I make sure to remind myself, and I make sure to tell this on all the shows I do, because this is what's important to the addicts that are still struggling and the people that are questioning, do I need to stop? And this is what's important to people who work in recovery to hear what I'm going to say. And this is what's important to a lot of people that might not understand recovery. You're not going to get sober for your mom. You're not going to get sober for your kids. You're not going to get sober for the job. You're not going to get sober for the car. The only way you can get sober is when you realize you are done. You can't do it for anybody else but yourself. The only way you can get sober is when you hit that place and you're in the bottom of a pit and you're looking up. I had to be physically, mentally, and spiritually broken.
Right.
I was sitting in my mom's house. Mind you, I had paroled from prison because throughout this process of drug use and gangs, my mother's home had been shot up with machine guns by a rival gang. My mother moved out to a city called Santa Clarita while I was in prison. I paroled home with a huge drug addiction. I paroled from prison after all that time with PTSD, getting involved in all kinds of nonsensical crap in prison that doesn't have any place in the streets. I had to go to therapy to retrain my ideas, my thoughts, remove tattoos that were hateful. But I also couldn't kick the drug addiction. Now, the last day I had been doing drugs on and off for a couple years in my mom's house. I had destroyed my mother's mansion. She had a 5-bedroom, $1 million home in Santa Clarita, which is a nice, very nice white class, sheltered suburban area of suburb of Los Angeles. I had turned her home into a trap house. It looked like it would have been fit for South Central or the New York ghettos.
Is that
I
right?
tore this house to shreds thinking, you know, when you're doing speed, you think I think I'm doing some projects and I think I'm remodeling the house, but I'm Tim the Tool Man Tweaker Taylor with some boxers on. I'm wearing a tool belt at 3 a.m. with a bandsaw and a hammer. I've got a headlamp on and a bandana over it. I think I'm upgrading my mom's house while my poor old parents are downstairs praying something interrupts me from destroying their home. I've got neighbors calling my parents, yelling at my parents. There's a fucking bandsaw going at 3 a.m. I'm doing home improvements. I'm tearing up the concrete, the staircase, everything I could possibly do. But in my head, I think I'm upgrading the house for my mom.
Sure.
And my last day, I had been shooting up meth and heroin back and forth. I got on heroin because my behavior got so bizarre on meth that I had to calm myself down.
Right.
And the last day, I had been praying for about 2 weeks. I had been praying to God. And I have some Viking in my history, so I believe in Odin as well. And I know that people don't like to hear that, but I believe in my heritage, and I also believe that Jesus died for my sins. I don't care what anybody says. It's my system. I had been praying to God and Odin, please I can't handle it. I was at that point where I'm ready. I just don't know how to stop. I was exhausted. I was filthy dirty. I was broken. I was mentally tortured. I was scared. I wanted it gone. I didn't know what to do. And I had been praying for 2 weeks while I continued to inject drugs. And the last day, this is the best part. The last day I did 17 shots on and off of meth and or heroin. Okay. I injected it into the vein on my penis.
Yeah.
Nothing was working. After 17 full needlefuls of meth or heroin, nothing is working. I'm not overdosing. I'm not getting high. And but I wasn't too smart. I wasn't smart enough to realize my prayers had been answered. Right. And when I finally came to it, I'm like, wow, wait a minute. It's not working. Yeah. 17 shots of full needles of meth or heroin should have killed a horse.
For sure.
And it wasn't it wasn't causing paranoia anymore. It wasn't causing schizophrenia, which I was this close to being committed for schizophrenia because the meth just melts your brain.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wasn't getting high. And I finally just realized, wait a minute. I've been asking for this moment right here. It's not working. And I just walked up and I banged on my bedroom door because I didn't even know how to open my own bedroom door. The door opens and my mom comes up the stairs. My little old lady mom, who's tiny, runs up the stairs and she's like, and I said, Mom, I don't give a fuck what you want me to do. I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't care. I'm ready. I'm done. I need help. I don't know how to stop it, but I know I can't keep doing this. And my mom said, all right, let's do it. She got me into a detox. And this is where my clothing company, Sullen, comes into play because she knew how much I love tattoos and artwork. And she used to bring me a bag of Sullen clothing every Friday. If I'd make it to the next Friday sober, I'd get a bag of clothing and accessories from the company I love the most.
Right.
Every Friday and until I hit 9 months. And when I hit 9 months, she said, okay, now you do the rest. Bring me back a year chip on your own. Wow. But that last day, I mean, I had to be broken. I had to be broken like that on my last day. Yeah. And I had to realize for myself, I want it.
Yep. That story is so similar to my last day as well. I mean, my last day was a 4-day run. And I couldn't get drunk. I couldn't get high. There was no amount of substances that I could put in my body. And that's what it brought me to this place of like, fuck, my medicine isn't working anymore. Yeah. And like this thing that I've depended on for 17 years now is not working for me. I either got to kill myself or change everything.
Yeah. You either got to kill yourself or just like, I was turning myself schizophrenic because I believed everything was about me and attacking me. So I was going to lose my brain or I was just going to get sober.
Right. So your mom's bringing you these packages of clothing and that's kind of like your motivation to kind of keep another week. And
you know, it is to like she was dangling a carrot in front of me to get to the carrot, to get to the next. And again, it worked because it's something I love. I've always loved fashion and clothing and our look and our style in LA. And that's kind of what Sullen does. They blend tattoo artwork with clothing with some of the best tattoo artists around the world. And those little small gifts help me achieve little milestones to the 30, to the 60, to the 90, to the 120. And then before you know it, I got a year and I was blown away.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing that you know, and here you are now working for this company that saved your life.
Well, I was able to bump in. I bumped into the owner. I went to see Limp Bizkit a few years ago at Muse Inc.
Okay.
And Limp Bizkit was huge for me growing up. You know, I get to go see these guys and see them on stage. And I bumped into the owner. He had a booth at this convention, and I showed him the little tattoo I had right here, the little logo. Okay. And he took a picture with me, and I told him my story. And he looked at me and he goes, wow, really? I'm like, yeah, bro. And I just love you guys. And he said, let's talk soon. And then slowly but surely, I've met another guy from their company with social media, and he brought me on as a model. I mean, my criminal fucking convict junkie ass, they put me on as a model despite my history, as long as I stayed sober, and I've just built and built and built and grown with them since then.
That's so amazing. And was that a stipulation of your employment with them that you stay sober?
No, but it's almost like it's implied, but it's not. They didn't say it, but I'm pretty sure it was a stipulation, just not written in the contract. You know what I mean?
Unwritten. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's so amazing. And, and I've heard you also, you refer to your mom as your best friend on other podcasts, and her bringing these gifts to you. What's your relationship like with her now? Is it stronger now today than it was then?
We're great. It's amazing. My relationship with her is great. It's absolutely amazing.
It's amazing the way, family can, in our darkest days, family will step up for us and stick around when nobody else will. Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. That's amazing. After you get a year sober, you start working for Sullen.
No, actually, I started working for a couple rehabs. I managed sober living. I did the overnight job as a technician at a few rehabs and detoxes. I started officially working for Sullen after that, when I was in that process. I think I was a little bit around over a year, maybe a year and a half is when all that happened. And while I worked for Sullen, I continued to have a side job working in recovery. I kept that as a foundation.
Okay, cool.
While I worked for Sullen, because for Sullen, I was a model, and I run one of the social media apps for them. And now I run an app full time by myself, the Sullen Family app, and I also help out on the main app most of the week with the owner, Uncle Jeremy. So I was able to juggle both by keeping. I needed that foundation in recovery. I needed that extra job. I needed that connection for me to stay grounded for a long time.
Right. And I think if you're working in recovery homes and you're kind of immersed in that world, you're really ensuring your own recovery, because now you're, somewhat responsible for other people too. And you've got to be
at the same time, Chris, I tell people working in recovery can become very exhausting. It is a lot of stress and a lot of drama, and you're sucked into a lot of drama that you're like, man, I'm past this. I don't want to be stuck here. It could be triggering. It could be drama. It could be stressful, anxiety. So I don't recommend it for everyone. If your foundation isn't strong, don't work in recovery. Everybody just assumes, I'll just work in recovery and get my license, and just make sure you can handle it, because there's a lot. When you're in recovery, it's like you're never out of recovery. And I stress this a lot. You have to have a personal life and a recovery life. If you blend the two together, it becomes a really bad experience. I think you tend to make this world the real world, and you have to remember, the real world doesn't care that we're addicts. They expect us to behave the correct way regardless. We have a separate world, being addicts and alcoholics.
Yeah.
If you can't separate the two, you're in for some trouble. Because Steven at the liquor store doesn't care that I'm making amends that I robbed him. He's still going to be like, hey, screw you. You robbed me. I don't care that you're making amends. I don't care that your life is good. And I've actually had that happen to me. Our amends are for us, not really for them. And most of the world doesn't care, because most of the world already knows how to behave.
Right.
So I tell people you got to make sure you have a personal life and a recovery life. It could be detrimental to your sobriety.
For sure. I mean, I see it a lot too. People spend their lives after addiction in church basements, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes with other addicts in recovery. And that's great sometimes, but when you don't know how to have a conversation with whatever you want to call it, a normal person or normie out there, you got problem. That's a whole, now you're addicted to recovery.
Yeah. Because what you've done is just switched your addiction. And then I've been saying this a lot. Me and my girlfriend have been talking about this a lot, because we have seen the program turn into like a cult-like environment for some. And it's like, you got to have a break. You have to have a separation for your own sanity, because the way they function in those rooms, just like you said, that's not the way the rest of the world works. You have to be able to blend a balance of that. Find your recovery, what works for you, and have a personal life. If you enmesh yourself in that basement with that coffee every day, every night, it's not good for your mental status, because the rest of the world is not in that group.
Right. And then how do you grow? Right. You stay in those.
Well, you're not. You're staying stagnant. I mean, it's good you're sober. I'm glad you're sober, but you're not. Your life is not growing.
Right.
Your life needs to grow. The point of being sober. Your life. Me being sober means I want everything the world has to offer me. I deserve it now that I'm sober, and I can contribute, and I can pay taxes whether I like them or not, and I can help the lady at the bank. I want to do all of that, but I can't do that drinking coffee, listening to a speaker that more than likely has shared the same thing 7 times this month.
Exactly.
We need to grow. I feel like we need to grow. Recovery is good, but we also need to grow out of it sometimes too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I found that a lot too, and you know, my wife is in recovery as well, and we found the same thing in the rooms. It's like, we need to have our life. We travel a lot. We've got things going on. We own a tattoo shop here. She's like doing guest spots all over the place. Like we need to be out and with people. We don't like recovery is the bedrock of what keeps us happy and sane today. Yes. Like we need that no matter what.
Yeah.
But like you said, I got sober to start living. I didn't get sober to stay stagnant.
Yeah. And some of the times, so staying in those rooms is good to remind yourself, but at the same time, I don't want to offend nobody and I don't mean any disrespect, but it can be a lot of misery. Sometimes it's like, I get it. I was there, but I'm not there now. So I need to do something different. Our recovery grows and changes as we grow older. And I don't necessarily need to see one of the things here. Let me give you an example. One of the things I've encountered, I've heard some of these people have made that room a place where they can stand at a podium, a platform to just boast and talk. I don't want to hear the guy brag about how many women he slept with and the Mercedes he has now that he's sober, and how many, I've got 73 sponsees that you treat like they're slaves and they do what you say, because that's not really fair, or is it nice? Some people are assholes in addiction and they're assholes in recovery. So like, you're not really growing, because if you were growing, you wouldn't be acting or boasting like that. Absolutely. It's like you just have to, and you have to also, but some of us are smart enough. And then there's those that maybe some of those people didn't really have a social life before addiction, like guys like me and you probably did. So it was easier for us to transition back into a normal world. Some people didn't. And if that works for you and you're staying sober, great. But I tell the people I work with, please try to go to the park, go see movies, go to events, go to theme parks, do anything you can to find a private social life with a core group of friends. It's good for us to not have people in recovery in our lives as well. For sure. Yeah.
I mean, and I found that with, like, you know, for myself, for like with fighting, you know, like I love going to train and fight, and my wife and I do it all over the world. And, you know, all the people I meet through the fight world, they're super healthy people. But not like, maybe 3% of them are people in recovery, but they're people living a good, healthy lifestyle. And so those are the people I want around me.
There's a lot of people that drink socially that can handle it, that don't have our problem. I have a gang of friends in my industry that smoke marijuana. It's pretty popular, and it doesn't cause them to go steal cars and smoke crack. You know what I mean? Like that, we have that problem. The rest of the world doesn't. So we need to blend back with the rest of the world, I feel like.
I couldn't agree more. No. I just wanted to touch on the fact that you mentioned your girlfriend. She's in recovery as well?
Yeah, she's got more time than me. She's got a little over 5 years right now. I'll be five years sober on May 18th. She's like got a few months after me. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So how do you find a relationship with another person in recovery?
Well, I didn't plan on it. And I'll tell you right now, I usually won't date in the program because there's a lot of that drama. Yeah. And the other thing I don't like about the program is you really get no privacy. Everybody's in your business. Everybody's commenting and getting in your business on media. And it's like, won't do that. She's kind of like me, where we stay out of the group. We stay out of the rooms for the most part. We do our own thing sober. We know how to stay sober. We avoid people, places, and things that are a danger. But I didn't plan on it with her because I didn't know anything much about her sobriety life other than I knew she was sober. So it worked out well for us. We get along good, and we sit here and chop it up. We talk about recovery. We both share with people. So we get recovery by ourselves also.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's amazing. And I can relate to it because, as I said, my wife's in recovery as well. So I got a person under my roof at all times that I can bring a problem to that actually understands, you know.
That's a great thing.
It's a really great thing. But we're also very careful that we don't solely use each other as, like, we're not sponsoring each other.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that can get dicey, right? We have to have those outside opinions and everything. But you know, honestly, to have somebody, you know, I can bring something up. It doesn't, I think with any addict or any alcoholic, the details of our stories really do not matter. It's the emotions that we've gone through that we can all relate to, and that you and I can have a conversation and not have to talk details, but just talk about emotions. And I can say, yeah, man, I've been there. I know exactly where you were. Yeah. And vice versa. Right. Yep. And so that's what I have with my wife. Yeah. And just to be able to have that that like constant support and, open conversation around like real life and recovery at all times. It's just it's so nice to have a partner who, especially somebody that is living a good life. They're honest people. You know what I mean? They have the values that people in recovery are supposed to have. Right?
Yeah,
but I mean, that goes a long way though. And I always said the same thing. I said, I'll never date a girl in recovery. There's no way.
I never planned on it, and it just happened. Isn't it funny how God works? God works in his own way.
Yeah, man, for sure. So we talked a little bit earlier at the beginning of the podcast about like helping others and people reaching out to you on social media. Like, are you getting flooded with messages with all the podcasts you're doing now?
I did. I recently did a podcast. I recently did one called The Soft White Underbelly with a guy named Mark, in which it's a huge platform. That thing has blown me up. I can't stop getting messages. We're going on like 2 or 3 weeks past the podcast, and my message box is blowing up. And like I said, I will respond to every single one of them. If you took 50 minutes out of your day to listen to my story, you better believe that I will respond to you and at least try and help.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. That's so it's such a great tool. And the fact that, people can just like watch from the comfort of their own home or on their phone with earbuds in and listen to a story and say like, fuck, I can relate to this guy. And I want to reach out.
I had one of my friends, Mario, who I got sober with up in Lancaster. He's always hard on me about staying in the program. And like I've told you, I've discovered that this is the way I can do it. I'm able to touch people, talk to people, share with people using social media, using our podcast. This is my thing that I can do. And this is what I bring to the table, and it's better for me. I have my own little like I've told you before. I have my own issues with going to some of the meetings because of here's something funny I'll share with you. A lot of people don't know this. I could sit here and share with you as good as I'm doing on these podcasts, super easy. But yet you put me on a podium in front of a group of people staring at me, listening to me in a meeting, I will clam up, I will turn red, and I will get nervous.
Is that right?
I am the worst person to share at a meeting. For some reason, I can't do it. But if you put me in a group of people like standing outside, I can do it. I can share with you and the world on a podcast. But God forbid you put me up at the podium. For some reason, I shut down. It's weird.
Wow. That is really strange. I mean, there is that added pressure of being like, I mean, there's no editing. There's no nothing. Like you just have to be on for 40 minutes. But I mean, to me, like you seem like such a guy, like when I watch your podcast or see anything on social media, you just seem like it's like, like I could talk to anybody. This is easy, And
well, but that's social media also. I tell people a lot, don't confuse what you see on social media because like the photos, for instance, that's just me posing in an outfit for a certain moment. Now, mind you, I do have a pretty gangster history and a good story. That moment carries weight with me in the moment in the photo, but like it's so easier a one-on-one conversation with you right now than it would be with 40 people sitting there with cups of coffee, just staring at me up like that. It's a different feeling for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I can kind of relate to that. I have a harder time like when people are just kind of all eyes are on you and there's no expression back. There's no like interaction. But I started speaking at meetings. I was forced into it early in recovery, and I kind of did the circuit for a while, and I have this like now I've got it so practiced that I could rhyme it off in my sleep.
My sponsor's the same way, and he tries to encourage me to do that. But like for early on, I discovered I'm not going to be good at sharing. So let me find another way for me to express myself. And it took a minute, but this is the best way I can do it. And this is the best way I can help people.
Yeah. And I think it's a great thing. And the reach is huge. People don't, like, I think you mentioned people like sponsoring people all over the world.
I've got a guy in Great Britain, a guy in England who I talk to. Like this is a bigger reach than that 40-person people drinking coffee in that room. And I think I might have capitalized on what my sponsor said a little better than he wanted me to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more about what you're doing with Sullen. I know you got you're switching positions, switching roles.
I've got a new job. I'm probably going to be going into sales, which means I'll be the guy going out to trade shows and stopping in and out of stores in Los Angeles and California, getting people to carry our product in their stores. Which is not only is it a better pay increase, but it's a way better position. I'm still going to be modeling and doing videos. I'm still going to be doing the social media. But this is just a better firm position with the company.
Okay, cool. I've heard such great things about the owner. I have a friend that owns a tattoo shop here, and he's good friends with him as well. And he just, I've never heard anyone say a bad word about that guy.
You can't. This guy says, Uncle Jeremy will give you the shirt off his back, literally.
Yeah.
I've never seen him not, like when people come up to say hi, he always has time for photos, and he always has time to say, hey, what size are you? In fact, I hear this so much. What size are you? He'll throw you some merchandise. Like, he's such a good dude. And I mean, they built him and his brother, Color Crimes. They built something from the ground up. Like they did that.
Right.
You know how hard it is to start a clothing company and have it successful and last?
Yeah.
Definitely. Using all of these artists from around the world that they have to rely on for artwork. It's a really cool thing.
It is. Yeah. And so now you get to be a part of that. I mean, it meshes so many parts of your life now, and now you're paid to do it. Yeah. You're at all the conventions, and you're out with people all the time. I imagine that, like, I would imagine you're probably at the conventions, you're looked at as a bit of a celebrity, like a little bit. Yeah,
that gets hard sometimes. Yeah, but you're right. It is like that, and I like it. But what I like more is meeting all these artists. Meeting all these fantastic artists that now I'm getting a little small because I don't have much room left on my body. I'm pretty much covered minus like the whole under the crotch by the balls area. And I've been getting all these artists that I've not only removed all the dumb tattoos from prison, I've tattooed over them now. I have all these guys that have been helping me cover up and change all of that dumb prison work. Yeah, that my life has changed and gone away from. I've got guys offering, because they love my story, that help me change it, help me cover it. I've got guys offering to tattoo me a little small memory. And to be able to say that I have like 20 $50 size pieces from these amazing artists is like, to me, I'm more fanboy on them than they are on me.
For sure.
Yeah.
And those guys, for those guys to even do a little tattoo like that, it's like unheard of, right?
Bro, for some of these guys to even offer a piece that size, like, you're completely out of your spectrum. Some of these guys don't do less than $4,000 a sleeve a day. And for them to offer it to me because we're all friends in the same group is, bro, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's very cool. What do you think about the way, like, I have this thing about the way kind of tattoo culture has gone since, like, I mean, we're around the same age. So, like, for us, when we started getting tattoos, it was all, under the shirt, like,
I just spoke on this.
Did you? I was just going to say, like, my thing is, like, I would go and ask for, like, something on my hand or my neck, and I couldn't get anything on my hand before I had a full sleeve. I couldn't get anything on my neck before my whole torso. Yeah. I couldn't get my head or face before the rest of my body was done. And it was rules. And those rules just aren't there anymore.
They're not. And it's because tattoo industry, we had a jump a few years ago where it just catapulted tattoo culture into mainstream of life, from law enforcement to firemen to military to TV. Mm-hmm. It went from being shunned, hidden under our clothes, to now it's actually trendy where a 17-year-old kid is getting his first tattoo on his face. And that blows me away.
Isn't that wild?
I've been speaking on it. It's almost like it's hard for guys like us because I had to grow up under the t-shirt, maybe a couple here and there on my legs. When I went in the military, in the Navy, I had a half sleeves. Everything was hidden. Okay. As I've covered all these areas up, I've grown to my feet, to my face, to my hands, to my fingers, to my ears, behind my ears, my head. All that came, my eyelids came after under the clothes was covered. And I find it's almost like it's not good for kids because you should never be starting in the visible areas. Like because at that point, you're not really understanding or appreciating our tattoo culture. You're showing off. It's almost like you don't even respect or appreciate the history of our tattoo culture and lifestyle, because for you to start on your face or to start on your hand, you're showing right there that you don't understand what guys like us have been through. And then they're starting with their first tattoos using numbing creams and all this shit. And it's like, you're missing the whole experience. Fuck. And all these movie stars and rappers are getting put under to sleep, paying $30,000 to be put under anesthesia, and then waking up with a full bodysuit. That's not fair to the rest of us.
It's not.
It's not respectable. It's not respectable to our history. Yeah,
exactly.
Like I'll tell you right now, I've used numbing cream a few times lately, but my body has been covered down to my toes. I have my penis tattooed and lasered. I've had my face tattooed and lasered twice. I've earned the right to use it a couple of times. But these kids, I don't agree with it either. I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah. It's a funny world. It's all for shock value now. And for like, I mean, I think that when I started getting visible tattoos, I wanted people to stay the fuck away from me. And it was like a barrier for like, you stay over here, I'll be over here. Now it's like, it's an invitation for somebody to come and grab my arm and like, let me look at this, let me touch your head, shit like that, right? It's really
one of the best ones I covered was in prison. I had a big 666. Exactly what you just said. I did it because I wanted to push you away from me. I didn't want you close. But as I got home and went through all the therapy and I had to do the PTSD therapy and training, I realized, wait a minute, it worked. It actually pushed you away from me with such a shocking tattoo that now I don't walk people away anymore. So I had to I covered it with a bunch of roses under here. So now it's like, and I can't tell you how good it felt when that tattoo was done. It removed a part of my history that I was so embarrassed of. And now people are more, like you said, people want to walk up to me and, oh my God, what's this? Show me this. What's your favorite one? Almost to the point where I get exhausted. Like, bro, come on.
Dude, you know? Like you try to go to the mall to pick something up and you're in there for an hour and a half. Cause like, 8 people want to stop you and ask you questions about tattoos. Yeah. I mean, I own a tattoo shop, so it's good for business. And I love that about it. So I can hand out cards. Same with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at the same time, you're like, I'm the same way. I get fucking exhausted after a while. And it's like,
I'm exhausted. Yeah,
I don't know these people. I'll never see these people again.
Yeah. And you want to know my favorite tattoo or what's the memory? Like, why would I tell you a memory I went through with this right here? Like you wouldn't understand it probably anyway. So like,
or they ask you, what do you think I should get? Or what do you think if I got that? And it's like, that's you. It's not, you don't know me. What does it matter what I
don't know where you're from. I don't know where you're from, what you've gone through. I don't, you know what I mean? All of these things I have, whether they're good or bad. There's a song by the Dropkick Murphys called, what's it called? Rose Tattoo, Rose Tattoo. That song is exactly what guys like us go through. Every tattoo has a meaning, whether it's good or bad. It's a memory. It's a point in time that I've been through. Now, some of them I've covered up because they needed to be covered. Some of them needed to be removed because they were just, that part of my life is done and I want to forget that. But for the most part, every single one of these has a meaning and something special that I take with me wherever I'm going.
Yeah, I think they're like timestamps, like whether that image means something to me. Yeah. I remember the time and what I was going through and what that meant to me at that time. And it probably doesn't mean that to me anymore, but that time is stamped on my body and it brings me back to a certain time.
For some of them, because some of them, like I've been through some traumatic shit where what you think you're doing in that moment, I wish I would have waited just another 30 days on. So for me, there was, like I've shared with you before, there's a lot of them I had to they had to go and that just wasn't right. And I feel better for it.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, I'm the same as you. I've got things lasered. I've got layers of tattoos to cover up shit that I wasn't proud of anymore.
Yeah.
I'll cover up before I'll laser any day though. I mean,
I tell people this all the time. Laser is a serious experience. I lasered my penis.
It's no joke.
I lasered my whole forehead up and down. And my chest. It's a pretty serious experience. There's no way to stop the pain. The numbing cream, the Novocaine shots, none of it worked on me. It was a really rough experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's awful. And you got to keep going back. You go for a tattoo, it's one session. You got to go for 8 months to get some.
Yeah. Some of them last that long, every few weeks for about 8 months. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Anyways, tell me a little bit. I mean, we could talk about tattoos all day long, but it's not really what we're here to talk about. But what do you do on a daily basis? I mean, besides reaching out to people on social media and answering messages, that sort of thing. What do you do outside of recovery work to maintain your your healthy lifestyle?
I tried my best to eat right. Me and my girlfriend hit the gym together every day, or when I'm at work, I work out with my brothers at Sullen headquarters. We have a huge UFC gym in the building. So I work out probably 6 days a week for the most part. And I'm not really good at a diet because we travel so much that the one thing that always falls short in my fitness routine is my diet. It's hard when you're on the road so much to have a meal prep or to just eat chicken and rice. So and I'm a huge coffee fanatic. Since I've been sober, I drink coffee like it's water. In fact, I was just telling my girlfriend today, she's like, you drink more water. And I'm like, babe, there's water in coffee. And she's like, no, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm the same
So,
way, man. I think all of us that's our one little vice that we still have that we can still sit back and enjoy. Yeah. And it's the
closest to drugs I'm going to get now that I'm sober. And I like that little pep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it either. Like I always say, like, because I might drink 6 cups of coffees in a day. And I, that's not good for my body, but like to the alternative, what I was doing, this is not a problem.
This is a way better solution than, totally.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of expensive too, especially when you're hitting the coffee bean and tea leaf like I like, and or Starbucks like my girlfriend likes. It's an expensive habit. Yeah.
It can be. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So, what's next for you?
I've got a couple things lined up with the guys. I'm close friends with a good group of guys called the Ortega Brothers.
Okay.
And I made friends with one of the stars from that movie American Me, little Big Puppet.
Yeah.
So we got a couple things being filmed for one of our friends in the industry who's an icon, Freddie Negretti. I don't know if you heard of him in the tattoo industry.
Yeah.
Where he has his own signature set of fedora hats, and I'm going to be doing some videos and some ads for them, which I'm excited about.
Nice. Oh, very cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, it seems like you've got so much going on, and you've got, so much positive, inspirational stuff in your life right now, and so many good people in your corner.
Yeah.
I just really look forward to kind of following along your journey and to see where it goes from here, man. Cause
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Like you're just such an honest, good, kind person. Any interaction that I've had with you has been just like straight up and real. And, I just really appreciate that about you.
Thank you.
The way you tell your story, it really is inspirational. And I know that so many people out there that hear your story are going to pull from it and pull messages of hope and realize that, like, we can build back up from rock bottom.
Yeah.
And
we definitely can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And guys like me and you with our histories, we do recover. People like us from the streets, I don't really care, because I've found similarities in rich people, poor people, ghetto people, white people, black people, Mexican, Asian. It doesn't really matter. We do recover. We're all the same in recovery, and guys like us can rebuild ourselves. And I don't make much money doing what I do. In fact, it's a constant argument at home. But
is it? Yeah.
I take a lot of good feelings from it, because I'm able to help a lot of people. And I drive myself crazy. I drive myself broke driving around LA and Orange County for the most part, helping people out with photos and videos. And I'm not paid much again, but I take home a lot of good spiritual recovery from helping a lot of people.
Yeah, man. And that's what it's about. Like, that's the stuff you can take with you.
Yeah.
Those experiences and those, having a hand in somebody else's recovery, or just simply making a difference in somebody's day. Yeah. Like, that's the stuff that matters. Our money is going to go. You know what I mean? Our health is going to go. Yeah. It's what we give out there, what we give to the world. And I think guys like us who have been through it and are in a different place now, and so many others out there have a lot to give. And, I think that people in recovery are really resourceful, really smart, and really, like, there's a drive, I think, that people in recovery have that is, like, unlike a lot of others.
Yeah.
Because we've been through the gutter. Yeah. And we realize what our life is worth today, right? And we want to share that with people.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, man, that's amazing.
Thank you.
So just to close it out, like, where can people find you if they want to reach out on social media or check your stuff out?
I have my social media is Mohawk Matt _SFV for Instagram. I also run the Sullen family page. I help out on the Sullen clothing page, which I recommend everybody follow. Sullen Clothing. There's a great group of guys and a great group of girls, guys, men, women. It's a great tattoo industry-based clothing company. We have a lot of really good artists. I have a Facebook. It's my name, Matt Camerano, I think. Other than that, I'm going to keep doing these shows and keep speaking out the best I can and helping as many people as I can.
Amazing, man. Well, I'll link all those down in the show notes when the thing goes live.
Thank you.
Man, I just want to thank you from, like, the bottom of my heart, man. It's a pleasure to actually sit down and chat with you like this. And, I just really appreciate your story. I appreciate you as a genuine human being and, everything that you have to offer, man.
Thank you. Hey, brother, the pleasure is mine. I love sharing my story with you. You're so easy to talk to. And this was such a really nice afternoon event. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, man. Thanks so much, man. And have a great day.
You too, brother. Thank you.
All right. We'll keep in touch.